Hello and welcome to 2-Day Rentals, the channel where I love to talk about movies, movie merchandise, movie licensed toys, movie licensed video games, and to celebrate Alien Day, I figured I would talk about merchandise from my favorite film franchise of all time, Alien. And other franchises come close, right? But none surpass the love I have for these movies. So I thought, why not pick one piece of merch from each of the first three original movies, Alien, Aliens, and Alien 3, and do a little discussion. And I probably have more stuff from Aliens, that's my favorite movie of all time, but I do have a few things from the other films. And so, why not? To celebrate Alien Day this year, let's do a little discussion on some of my favorite merchandise from the first three films. So let's jump right in. The first piece we're going to talk about from Alien is this really awesome play set by Galoob. This is 1996, and this is from their Action Fleet series. And this bust of the Xenomorph actually opens up, and you can play out different scenes from the movie. The detail on this thing is absolutely incredible. Do you want to recreate the chestburster scene? It allows you to do that. You have a little cane that's laying out on the table, and the chestburster wiggles around. It's got everything. Do you want to recreate what it was like dropping into the derelict ship and seeing the nest of eggs? It offers that as well. It's a really neat little play set. It's something I got much later. I didn't own it when it first came out, and when I bought it, it actually has some figures from separate little packages they did. And I think I'm actually missing the mini derelict ship that it came with, but it's got a little bit of everything, right? We have Parker roaming the halls with a Nostromo when a Xenomorph pops out and, well, in this case, knocks him into the egg nest layer, but it's little details like that that make this thing so cool. I mean, just by itself, without it even being open, it displays really nice, but man, once you open it up, there's just so many cool little details, and I think it's just a really, really awesome thing that Galoob did. It wasn't the only one that they did. There are several others, and it's really, really neat. And it's something, when it came out, I never saw it in the stores. I didn't find out about it till much later. I also have the dropship from Aliens that comes with a Pharaoh figure and a Hicks figure. I've yet to open it. I will one day. It's just hard for me to open this thing because it just looks so cool displayed as it is, but I really can't wait to unbox this. I'll definitely do a video over that. And I also have the Predator bust that opens up to a mini play set as well. And yeah, one day I'll get around to opening up this one too. So I'd like to get some more of these. They're just not easy to come by. And every once in a while you can find one for a good price. And so they're really neat and a neat thing to have in your collection. They display well and they're fun to play with. And like I said, for Aliens over the years, I've collected a lot of different things. But one thing I wanted to talk about in particular was this lunchbox that came out in 2014 by Diamond Select Toys. This thing's very interesting. You know, on the front you have the 3D sort of alien Xenomorph that's popping out of the box. Looks like it's lurking around the corner. I thought that was really neat how they did that. And then when you turn it over on the back, that tail continues around and it's got the 3D feel as if it's popping out of the metal of the lunchbox. And you've got the U.S. Colonial Marines Sulaco patch as well on the back, and lift zone, kind of a nod to the power loader. And on either side of the lunchbox, when you turn it on its side, you have different Colonial Marine patches. What I find really interesting is on the bottom, you see Dwayne Hicks etched into the bottom of the lunchbox. So this has got to be his lunchbox, and it's got to be stuffed with a bunch of cornbread.
It's good for you, boy. Eat it.
Yes, it is good for you, Hicks, and so interesting that they have that little detail in there. Inside is the thermos, and on one side you have, again, the USS Sulaco insignia patch with the bug hunters sort of etched in there, and then when you rotate it around, you have game over, man, game over. A nod to Hudson. So maybe it is Hudson's lunchbox. I don't know. It's Hicks or Hudson, you know. What is it, Private? You always get them confused, or at least they did get them confused in the film. So yeah, really neat that it came with a thermos as well. I gotta say, it's pretty fascinating how many different versions of the Alien 3 game were released. The Super Nintendo version is different from the Sega Genesis version, and the Game Boy version is different, vastly different than both of those other two. The Super Nintendo version, I would say, is probably going to give you a little bit more bang for your buck. There's certain missions you have to play out, and it's not nearly as linear as the Sega Genesis version. The Sega Genesis version, though very fun, it's a bit more straightforward. You go level by level, and it kind of plays through that way. And of course, the Game Boy version is this over-the-head kind of top-down. I don't want to say RPG, but there's RPG elements. There's certain things you have to do that allows you to progress and find certain things with some puzzles mixed in there. So they're all very different. I really do love this introduction video on the Super Nintendo version. It's pretty epic, and I think it really kind of blew me away as a kid when I played it. Other versions released for the Commodore 64, for the Amiga, for the Nintendo, and they play closer to how the Sega Genesis game plays. And that's probably the one I've played the most. It's the one I played the most as a kid. And though it's more straightforward, it's still enjoyable. It's pretty challenging. But I gotta say, the one thing that stands out to me is the music for the Sega Genesis version. You know, the Super Nintendo version kind of went the route of playing it closer to the movie score. But the Sega Genesis version really has some bangers, and we'll sample some of those tunes so you can take a listen. It sort of melds between electronic music, ambient music, dare I say vaporwave. It's really, really neat, and it's really, really well done. music was composed by composer Matt Furness. He's an English composer. He's worked on a ton of video games. Some of his stuff is notable, but to me, there's none more stand out than his work on Alien 3. And as a young kid in the early 90s when I played this game, I gotta say that music really got my attention, and it kind of laid the groundwork for stuff I would get into later. Some of the earlier boards of Canada, Awe-Tecker, some industrial kind of stuff, Nine Inch Nails, that down-tempo electronic stuff by Warp Records. So yeah, I can definitely say it had an influence on my musical taste moving forward. So that's it. You know, I wanted to talk about 3 different pieces of merch from some of my favorite movies of all time to celebrate Alien Day. And, you know, let me know, do you have a movie in particular that you collect for like crazy? For me, it's the Aliens franchise, specifically Aliens. What are some of your more quirky collectibles or pieces of merchandise you have from some of your favorite films? I would also love to know. I love the conversation, and I truly appreciate everyone that subscribes so far and joins in the conversation. And if you're new here, it's your first time, then I encourage you to hit the notification button, hit like and subscribe, share this with your other friends and people that are collectors so they can also join in on the conversation. And I really love doing this stuff, so I can't thank all of you enough. And it's like I always say at the end of my videos, let's be kind as we rewind and fast forward through time. Happy Alien Day, and thank you for stopping by.